Welcome to lesson 32 of algebraic concepts, two-step equations. So we've looked at solving two-step equations plainly with decimals and fractions. Now let's combine them. You can always pause this video and read over these, so I strongly encourage you to do so. Okay, so let me rewrite this a little neater. So we have x over 4 minus 2 equal to 3. So the first thing we're going to have to do is get rid of the addition or subtraction. Remember, when solving two-step equations or multi-step equations, PEMDAS works backwards. Multiplication division is the same. And addition and subtraction is equal and opposite. So we start here and then we work our way up. So this would be 1, 2, 3, 4 in that order, instead of going down the orders of operations. So we add 2 to both sides, and x over 4 equals 5. After you do one step, then rewrite everything that's left. Your equation has changed because the 2 has moved. Now, this line always means divide. The fraction bar always means divide. And the opposite of division is multiplication. So if we're dividing by 4, the opposite is multiplying by 4. They cancel out. Multiply by 4, and x equals 20. So if you stick 20 back into your original equation, 20 divided by 4 is 5. 5 minus 2 is 3. That makes a true statement. Let's look at our next example. Okay, so we're going to rewrite this as negative 1x minus 2 plus 4/5 x equals 5. So the first thing I'm going to do is get rid of the non-x term. I'm going to add 2 to both sides. I cannot add 2 to x because you cannot add a letter and a number together. So those cancel out. So I'm left with negative 1x plus 4/5 x equals 7. Now, when I combine the like terms, the terms that had the same letter and the same number to the same power, I get negative 1/5 x equals 7. And so now I see I'm multiplying by negative 1/5 to both sides. So I have to multiply by its inverse to make that positive 1. And x equals negative 35. So if you stick negative 35 back in, you will get 5. It works. So if I went a little quickly, or you need some refreshers on your fraction math, or while multiplying by the inverse, I suggest you go look at some of my earlier videos dealing with fractions and dealing with properties of numbers. How we made negative 1/5 and 5 over 1 was we used the inverse property of multiplication, and that will give you 1. Anytime you multiply a fraction by its inverse, you will get the same number divided by itself, which is 1. So that is that. So those are the end of our examples. I will meet you at the end of this video for a recap. Okay, subtract 7 from both sides. We have negative 10. Now, let me do this one step at a time. I'm sorry. Let's do this one step at a time. I'm rushing. We subtract 7 from both sides. We rewrite everything. Remember, same signs add, different signs subtract. Divided by negative 4, divided by negative 4. X equals 2 and 2/4, which equals 2.5, which also equals 2.5. If you type this out in a calculator, you got 2.5, but I'm just doing it as fractions. It doesn't matter. You should know it both ways because I'm not sure what you're going to see on some type of standardized test, if you'll see the answer as a fraction or a decimal. So you should know how to convert fractions into decimals and decimals into fractions. And if you got a TI calculator, here's a tip. So when you get an answer in a decimal form, whatever the number is, subtract out the whole number part, and you'll be left with whatever the decimal part is. On your TI calculator, there's a little math button if you have a TI 84. I don't know if it works on the TI 83. This is right below the green alpha button in the top left corner. Hit math, then hit your enter button. Sometimes it says ENT, sometimes it says enter. Hit this twice, because what'll pop up? You'll hit math, then you'll hit enter, and it'll say, on the screen, it'll say 2 frac. And then you hit enter again, and it'll change a decimal right into a fraction. So that's just a little tip for you people with the calculators. Okay. So I am going to subtract out the 9.5. Subtract out 9.5. So you got 5R minus 2R equals, different sign subtract, take the sign of the larger number. If there's no sign, that's a positive. You got 3R equals negative 6, and then R, well, we're going to divide by 3 on both sides, and then R will equal negative 2. Okay, so now with these ones, Y plus 3 over 7 equals negative 2. So the first thing we have to do is, remember, this is a grouping. So according to PEMDAS, you do your addition or subtraction. You cannot get rid of the Y plus 3. You cannot move this 3 first because this Y plus 3 is in a grouping with the Y. The 3 is in a grouping with the Y. So you don't have any addition or subtraction. So you're working with division and you're working with a parentheses, a grouping. So multiply by 7, they cancel out. And you get Y plus 3 equals negative 14. Then we subtract 3 from both sides, and we can see that Y equals negative 17. All right. And for our last problem, we're going to subtract 1 from both sides. And then we're going to rewrite everything. They're both M, so I'm going to just put the fractions together. We're going to talk about factoring later, but I know that these are both M, so I just want you to see the fractions next to each other. All right. When we have fractions, when we're adding and subtracting fractions, if they had the same bottom, we can add and subtract them. So we see that they had the same bottom. Same signs will add, and 3 plus 5 is 8, equals M. So, I'm sorry, that's multiplied by M. All right. So, negative 8 divided by 8 is negative 1. So do all your little math work before you go back to doing your fractions. You cannot have negative 1 as a coefficient. So you have to get rid of the negative 1. And now M equals positive 6. Not negative 6, but positive 6. So that is our lesson for today. It may look the same, but this gives you more practice as the previous lesson or the 2 before that. So there will be ones with mixed fractions and decimals. You're going to see that upcoming. So please, I urge you to try to watch these videos in a series because they're designed to be short, but to give you in-depth explanation of what these problems look like and how to solve them. So thanks for watching. If you like what you see, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and I will see you on the next video.